Hello and welcome back to another 4D BIM video. In this video we will be looking at how we can use 4D BIM for the purposes of planning out our resources in a construction project. Let's get started. First, we need to understand what resource planning is. Resource planning involves deciding on the resources that are required to make sure that the activities in a construction project are conducted in a sequential format. In construction, you have heaps of resources that you have to deal with, and that includes machinery, manpower, budget, and the material. To plan the use of all of these resources that you have available on a project, typically you would formulate a resource management plan, and that plan would show you how the resources are utilized in each activity of your project, and when the resources would be utilized. A resource management plan, you can think of it as composed of 5 major elements. So number 1, the types of resources that are required for each construction activity. And this includes workers, materials, and equipment. Number 2, the work assignment of crew, materials, and equipment to perform the construction activities in the schedule. Number 3, you need to consider limitations and restrictions. You have to be realistic at the end of the day. For instance, if you have a limited construction site and you require the use of different equipment all at the same time, and they all need to access that one single gate that you have on a construction site, how do you prioritize? Number 4, you need to ensure that the plan is robust, and that's why there's the robustness component that has to be included in the resource management plan. And what robustness means is that you have to have ways of responding to changes in the project schedule. So maybe, for instance, reassigning resources as required. And then finally, the rate of resource use on activities, it has to be captured by the plan. And this involves tracking how resources are utilized at each stage of the construction process. So what is the link like in 4D BIM? How do you establish the link between the 3D BIM model and your construction schedule? The best way of thinking about it is actually through this 3-way link. So what you need is first a link between your activity and a set of resources. So each resource would then belong to an activity on the construction schedule. Each activity is also associated with a building object. For example, you'd have, say, as an activity, concrete pouring, and that would be associated with the concrete column that you have in your 3D BIM. So as such, your resource would then be linked to your activity in the construction schedule, which is also linked to one or more building objects in your 3D BIM. Let's have a look at an example to make it clearer. Suppose you wish to simulate, using 4D BIM, the concrete pouring of a concrete slab you have on site. First, your concrete slab requires 4 workers, 12 meters cubed of concrete, 40 meters squared of formwork, and 3 tons of steel. You know that the construction activity associated with this slab is formwork placement, steel fixing, concrete pouring, and curing. You now have 4 activities that are linked to this one column. The column is also linked to 40 meters squared of formwork, 3 tons of steel, and the workers that you require as well. So that 3-way link is formed now between the resource, the activity, and as such, there's also the link between the schedule, and this is what enables you to conduct a simulation in Navisworks, and you're able to track the resources that are consumed by this concrete pouring activity. An important question, of course, is how do we set up this resource planning activity in a 4D BIM platform? Let's have a look at how you would do this using Navisworks as our 4D BIM platform. I have a set of video tutorials actually that demonstrate how to do this. The link is down below in the description, but I thought I'll just explain the process very quickly now. You need to first associate each object in your BIM model with a shared parameter. A shared parameter is simply a field for you to insert data in, and the data can be anything that's associated with the specific family of objects that you have in BIM. In our case, based on the concrete slab example that I previously gave, you would need to create a shared parameter to insert information about each activity that the column is linked to in the construction schedule. Your construction schedule should already contain information about the workers needed, the tons of steel, and the area of formwork that's required, and also the volume of concrete that's needed. In addition to, of course, the precise number of workers that you have to have on that activity. On this slide, you can see that I am creating a shared parameter in Revit, your 3D BIM platform, by clicking on the shared parameter button in the Manage tab. Once you do that, this newly created shared parameter, which I have labeled as task ID, would now be shown in the properties panel for the slab that is highlighted in the project, as you can see. This shared parameter will be added to all slab families in the project. You can also specify for it to be included to all other objects in your BIM model. Now in Navisworks, you would first import your construction schedule from, say for instance, Microsoft Projects or Primavera, and then next you would map it so that the task IDs in the construction schedule corresponds to the task ID in the 3D BIM model that we just incorporated through the shared parameters. This would enable you to create the link between the 3D BIM and the construction schedule. You would then conduct a search set in Navisworks to generate all linked objects. And that would, as a result, allow you eventually to run your simulation in Navisworks. Once you have the links established for all the objects in your model in Navisworks, you can of course start your simulation. As I said, for more information on how this is precisely done, make sure you check out my 4D BIM tutorials on my YouTube channel. Okay, so that was it for this video. I hope you now have a clear understanding of what 4D BIM is and the process that's involved in order to create the link between your 3D BIM model and your construction schedule. If you did enjoy the video, make sure you hit the like button. I'll see you all in another video very soon. Thanks.